Right guys, good to see you. So, in today's video, we're going to be talking about why most people will never become successful. You see, given the choice, if they had full control over their destiny and their fortunes, okay, the vast majority of people would like to become successful. But the reality is that if everyone could become successful, there will be nothing special about achieving success. Okay, success is special because very few people can achieve it or will ever achieve it. Yes, very few people will become successful. Very few people will live to see £1 million sitting in a bank account all at once. So why is it that most people will never become successful? Okay, what are the things that prevent people from achieving success? Okay, why will most people never become successful? That's what we'll be talking about in today's video. So let's dive straight into it. Now, why most people will never achieve success can actually be broken down into a variety of factors. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be talking with you in quite a bit of detail. So I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I'm hoping that you'll be able to stick around to the end and hopefully maybe take a slight pause and think about things that we've discussed before continuing. Alright, so I've thought about this very carefully, why most people never achieve success, and I've been able to boil it down to 6 reasons why most people will never become successful in their lifetime. Right? So let's talk about them right now. So the first reason why most people will never become successful is because they lack goals. Yes, most people are simply coasting through life without any clearly defined goals. Okay, so many people lack clarity. Okay, a lot of people will tell you that they want to achieve success. They want to be able to travel the world and buy a house or something like that. But if you ask them, how do you plan on achieving a level of financial freedom that will enable you to, for instance, travel the world easily, or buy a home outright, or do any of the other things that you've mentioned? At that point, most people will actually be stuck because they haven't actually set themselves any goals. Alright, they have no goal. They're simply saying, I want to do this, I want to have a lot of money, I want to be able to buy a house. Yes, they'll tell you about all the things they want to do, but they haven't got any action plan laid out. Okay, they don't have any goals. And the point is that if you want to achieve success in any means, alright, if you want to achieve success, you need to have clearly defined goals that you are working towards. Okay, all successful people are ambitious. They have goals that they're working towards, and they persevered typically for many years until they achieve those goals ultimately. Once again, a lot of people are simply going through life, and they're going through life doing a regular 9-to-5 job which provides them with just enough to pay their rent, pay their bills, maybe go on the occasional holiday once or twice a year, but they don't have any big goal long term. And you have to understand that success is a long ride, and along the way there are going to be multiple steps, multiple stages that you have to pass through in order to achieve your ultimate goal and become successful. But if you don't have any clearly defined goals, then you're never going to know what the next step is because you don't know where you're going. Alright, and that's the problem. That's why people can be in this world for decades and decades and decades and they've achieved nothing because they had no clearly defined goal. So they're just going through life, okay, without knowing what the next step should be in order to achieve success because they never actually defined any clear goals in the first place. And I don't want that to happen to you or me either. So that's why I've put this as the very first point. Okay, so the first reason why most people will never become successful is because they don't have any goals. Okay, if you want to achieve success, you need to really define what success means to you, and you need to set clear goals that you want to achieve and lay out a path by which you can achieve those goals. And at the same time, you need to be realistic with yourself, right? So if you're saying to yourself that I'm gonna establish a business and get it to a net worth of £60 million within the next 8 months, that might be a bit unrealistic. Okay, so you have to set goals, but at the same time be realistic. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the first point, or the first reason why most people will never be successful. Simply down to the fact that they have no goals. And I should have said this earlier, but I once heard a quote saying that if you have no direction in your life, don't be surprised if you end up going nowhere. And that is true. A lot of people have no goals and therefore no proper direction, and as a result, they end up going nowhere, or in simple terms, just living an ordinary, basic life. Okay, you don't want that to happen to you. Okay, you want to be more than average. So make sure you have goals, clarity, and direction in your life. All right. Now, the second reason why most people will never become successful is because they are afraid to fail. Guys, I hate to admit it to you, but if you want to achieve success, you must be ready to embrace failure. All right? Along your journey towards achieving success, okay, you are going to fail. Not once or twice, you're going to fail lots and lots of times. You will have to go through multiple iterations of failure. Failures, setbacks, disappointments, okay? You can call it whatever you want, but failure is part of the journey towards achieving success. And most people are afraid to take the risk of failure. As a result, they would prefer to stay in their little bubble or comfort zone of just living their ordinary life, doing a regular job and doing all the average things that they've been doing all along because it feels comfortable. They don't want to take any risk. They don't want to risk losing a bit of money while trying to start a business. They don't want to risk, for instance, approaching a cute girl and possibly being turned down, or she ignores him. So many people are afraid or unwilling to take risks. But here's the thing, if you don't try it at all, then you have zero chance of success. That's guaranteed. If you are too afraid to try something and you never give it a shot, you have absolutely zero chance of success. It's never going to happen because you never gave yourself a chance. You never tried. On the other hand, if you had a tiny bit of faith and you decided to just give it a shot, even if it felt a bit scary or daunting, if you gave it a try, then you've at least given yourself some chance of succeeding. Now, in the best case scenario, it might turn out quite positively and you might succeed on the first time you try it. Sometimes that happens. In a worst case scenario, it will fall apart and it just doesn't work out. Okay? If you happen to fail, there's nothing wrong in that. Okay? Every successful person has to go through, once again, multiple rounds, multiple iterations of failure. There's nothing wrong in failing. It's part of the journey to success. There's absolutely nothing wrong in failing, and you shouldn't be afraid to fail. In my opinion, failure is success as long as you learn from it. So, as we've learned already, in order to achieve success, you have to go through multiple rounds of failure. But each time you experience a setback, if you are able to learn even one thing from that failure, you should be able to come back stronger. And over time, you should be perfecting your craft and gaining more confidence. Honestly, it doesn't feel nice to fail. It can be very demoralizing, especially if you've lost money along the way. But once again, failure is part of the journey to success. And every successful person has been through failure. And it's not just businessmen and entrepreneurs. Even people who built a career in music or sports, they have had to go through failure. And sadly, most people would rather stay in their comfort zone and never experience any failure or setback rather than taking the big plunge and doing something a bit risky that could even potentially change their life. That could be starting a business. There are many people who would like to start a business, but they are afraid. Okay, they are afraid of, for instance, what if this business doesn't work out? What if it fails? What if I lose money in the process? Okay, what would happen if I start a business and it doesn't work out and I'm struggling to support my family? There are many guys out there, for instance, who would never approach a beautiful girl because they are afraid that she might turn him down. Well, guess what? If that business doesn't work out, you can move on. Okay, you will learn from your mistakes. You can and you should pick yourself back up and try again. Maybe you did something wrong. Maybe your marketing strategy wasn't effective. All right, you have to be willing to put yourself out there, take risks, and learn from your mistakes. So what if that cute girl rejects you? There's nothing wrong in it. At least you have some peace of mind knowing that, I gave it a shot. I approached her, I tried to talk to her, and she wasn't for me. At least then you can have a bit of closure. You know that this girl isn't for you, and you can move on. But if you never approached her, ever at all, okay, you're always going to be wondering, what if that could have been my future partner, hell, future wife. Okay, so many people in life are too afraid to take risks. They're too afraid of failing. Failing doesn't mean that your life comes to an end. It simply means that you've experienced some sort of setback. But once again, failure is success if you learn from it. You have to be willing to embrace failure and, most importantly, learn from your setbacks and come back stronger. So that's the second reason why most people will never become successful, because they are too afraid to fail. Alright? Now, the third reason why most people will never ever become successful is because they're too lazy. Now, don't get me wrong, guys, I'm not calling you lazy. I'm not saying that people in general are lazy, but achieving success requires hard work. Okay? More hard work than most people are prepared to put in. I'll be honest, not everyone out there has the work ethic of an ox. Not everybody is willing to slam it out and even occasionally stay up late just to complete what they have to do in order to move their business forward. Okay, not everybody has the diligence to put in the work needed to become successful. And this is one of the reasons why most people will never achieve success, because they're not willing to put in the work needed to achieve that kind of success. But there's also another dimension to hard work. See, hard work on its own isn't enough. Success not only requires hard work, but success typically, at least in most cases, typically it takes time to manifest. So success doesn't happen overnight. It's the result. Success is the cumulative result of hard work put in over a long time, typically over many months and many years. So working hard isn't enough. If you're able to work hard just for a few days and then you crash and burn, or you throw in the towel and give up, that's not enough. Bro, that's not enough. You must be willing to put in the work for long enough in order for the results to materialize. And that's where a lot of people just can't make it. Even if they're able to work hard, they're not able to sustain it for long enough in order to see the results. I'll give you an example. There are a lot of people who start a channel on YouTube, but do you know that 99% of YouTubers actually quit before they see any chance of success? It's not because their videos are terrible, no. Making content for YouTube, recording videos and editing videos is hard work. Okay, it is hard work, and most people give up because it's easier to simply whip out your computer or your laptop and watch videos made by other people as opposed to putting in the effort to make videos yourself. And having to go through hours of editing is hard work, and most people will give up. They were willing to put in the effort at the start, but in the end, they give up. Okay, this is another reason why most people will never achieve success, because they're not willing to work hard enough to achieve the success, and they're not willing to, or they're not able to sustain that hard work for long enough to see the success come through. And success is a gift, is a reward given by the universe to those people who are able to stick it out for long enough to achieve success. And this sort of rolls me on to the next point. All right. So anyway, so that's the third reason why most people will never achieve success, because they're not willing to put in the hard work, okay? And they're not willing to work hard for long enough. Now, the fourth reason why most people will never achieve success is because they lack discipline. Yes, this is the fourth reason why most people will never achieve success, because they lack discipline. And this sort of ties on from the last point about not being willing to work hard. Okay? Most people do not have the level of discipline needed to achieve success. Discipline is what will keep you going when your motivation fades. You see, people talk about being motivated. Okay? You see, motivation is largely an emotional thing. Yes, you might be feeling sort of hyped up and ready to put in the effort today. Yes, you might be highly motivated and energized today. But there's no guarantee that you'll be feeling that way at the end of the week or over the long term. Alright? So relying on motivation alone is not a good idea. Alright? You can't rely on being pumped up every single day. You can't rely on being pumped up or motivated every single day. That's simply not realistic, at least not in the long term. Discipline is what will keep you going in the long term, even when your motivation has literally faded out. Okay? Discipline will keep you going through the thick and the thin, through the good days and the bad days. Yeah, discipline. Now, I really wish I could talk about discipline more, but I actually made a separate video. Yes, I've made a separate video talking about this topic of discipline. So make sure you check that out, right? Obviously, do that at the end. Once you finish watching this, you can watch that other video I made about how to become more disciplined. Okay? That should be a perfect complement to this one. Anyway, let's get back to it. So most people will never become successful because they don't have enough discipline. Yes, you need to be disciplined with whatever it is you're doing to be able to make it through long term. Because success takes time and you need to be disciplined. Motivation alone isn't enough. You need to be highly disciplined. Most people who become successful aren't necessarily the smartest. And that's something that I've noticed. They're not necessarily the smartest or the most intelligent, but they have certain key traits which a lot of ordinary people don't, and which contributes to their success. Discipline is one of them. So, once again, make sure you check out that video, alright, on how to become more disciplined. If you're an individual who struggles with discipline, but at the same time you want to reach your full potential and achieve success, then this is an area that you need to work on. Okay, it's an area you have to work on, because your journey to achieving success will take time. Most likely it will take at least a couple of years. So you need to be disciplined. You need to be able to keep your head down and stay focused over a long time, irrespective of how you feel or what you're going through or what kind of mood you're in. You need discipline. And I'll say this one last time. I've made a separate video explaining how to become more disciplined. Okay, so in that video, I give you some actionable tips on how to become more disciplined. Okay, so if you're someone that wants to become more disciplined in your life, then by all means, as soon as you finish watching this video, click on that video. So once again, okay, that brings us to the end of the fourth reason why most people will never become successful. simply because they lack the discipline needed to achieve success. Now, the fifth reason why most people will never achieve success, okay, is because they try and blame others instead of taking responsibility. Okay? Now, this is something I believe that we all do it to some degree. Some people might do it more than others. But if you speak to people who have achieved success or who were successful in turning their life around, one of the things that I've noticed these people say is that their life changed the moment they began to take responsibility, when they made the decision to take ownership of their life, taking responsibility for the action and decision. You see, blaming other people is easy because it removes accountability from your part. Okay? It removes accountability from you, and it means that you don't have to look in the mirror and be responsible for what you do or the things you're doing. But you have to understand that success isn't something that anybody owes you, nor are you entitled to it. Okay? If you want to become successful, you have to be willing to work for it, and you must hold yourself responsible. Okay? You have to hold yourself responsible for all of your successes and all of your failures. And even when you fail, you must hold yourself responsible to learn from those failures in order to come back stronger. So it's very important that you are able to hold yourself responsible. Okay? Hold yourself responsible and have that mindset that I will make things happen. Okay? I will do whatever it takes in order to achieve my goal. I'm not just going to rely entirely on other people. Now, by all means, you can work with others. Okay? You can collaborate, share ideas, but you should ultimately hold yourself responsible for your success. Okay? Hold yourself responsible for all the successes that you experience and all the setbacks that you inevitably face. In order to get better, you must be willing to improve. And no one's perfect. So, as part of improving yourself, you must be willing to learn from your mistakes. Okay? That means looking in the mirror. Okay? Looking in the mirror and reflecting on yourself. In other words, accountability. And some people really struggle in this area. Some people really struggle in this area of accountability. I think it's a known fact that women or girls, for some reason, find this concept of accountability a bit harder than us men. I don't know why it is, but there are, a lot of videos and articles that talk about women and accountability, about how a lot of women struggle with accountability. So this point is actually something that, listen, for all of you sisters, for all of you girls who are watching this, please don't be offended. Okay, I'm saying this for your benefit. Okay, accountability is something that women generally struggle with a lot more than men. But you have to be able to look in the mirror and learn from your mistakes. Okay, if you're not willing to take accountability for your actions and decisions, then you're going to end up making those same mistakes over and over again. Okay, even if you live for 200 years, if you're not learning from your mistakes and you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, decade and decade and decade and decade, even if you live 200 years old, even if you live 200 years of age, all right, you're never going to achieve success. Okay? So part of achieving success is taking responsibility and knowing how to be accountable for the things you do and the decisions you make. All right. So that's the fifth reason why most people will never achieve success, because they lack accountability and they prefer to blame other people as opposed to taking responsibility themselves. Now, the sixth and final reason why most people will never achieve success is because they're waiting for the perfect time. Now, this is something I really want to dive into, okay? There's so many people who plan to start a business, who plan to ask a girl out or do something big in their life, something that could potentially be life-changing, but they're waiting for the perfect time. They're waiting for all the ducks to be in a row before they take the next step. But here's the thing, it's very rare for all the ducks to be in a row. It's very rare that your life is going to be completely perfect. It's very rare and highly unlikely that everything is going to be perfect. So if you are waiting for the perfect moment in order to get started, there's a very high chance that you may never ever start at all, or you will end up delaying starting that business or whatever it is that you want to do. You're going to end up delaying the start because you're waiting for everything to become perfect. People who achieve success are typically the ones who make the most of whatever situation they're in. They're not waiting for everything to be perfect. They're not waiting to have everything beautiful and easy before they get going. They simply make the most of what they have. They learn, adapt, and improve over time. And that's what matters the most. If you're waiting for everything to be perfect before you get started, once again, there's a very high chance that you may never start, alright? Or you might not start until a long time in the future. And waiting for the perfect time to start actually paves the way for procrastination. Because you don't want to start, you wait for everything to be perfect, you're going to keep on postponing it and postponing it and postponing it, hence procrastination. And the more you postpone something, the less likely it is that you will ever do it. And even when that perfect moment arrives, I can almost guarantee that another distraction is going to come into your life to take your attention away and derail you from what you said you were going to do. Alright? If you want to achieve success, you have to start. You have to start your journey as soon as possible. Okay? It's very unlikely that things will be completely perfect, but you have to make the most of your current situation and be willing to just use what you have and adapt and evolve. Okay? Enjoy the journey, okay? And be grateful for what you have. But just get started as soon as possible. Get started right now. Alright? You don't need to wait for things to be perfect. That's unrealistic. So for instance, if you're someone who's always wanted to start a YouTube channel, so like imagine 4 years ago you said to yourself, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, but you never started the YouTube channel because you don't have a studio to record your videos. So you decided to wait. Then later on you said, I haven't got a microphone. So you went on Amazon and you bought a microphone. Now you're saying that you haven't got a professional camera. See what's happening? You are simply delaying. You're delaying, and at each step, a new distraction is coming in. You suddenly realize you need a microphone. You need a professional camera. And this is 4 years ago. You still haven't started your YouTube channel. Alright? And most likely, at this rate, you never will. Alright? On the other hand, somebody else started their YouTube channel about 3 years ago. Okay, they started their YouTube channel about 3 years or 2.5 years ago. They used whatever they had. They used their basic Android smartphone that was manufactured about 10 years ago. They used that. They bought a cheap tripod stand on Amazon, put it on their desk, and started recording videos in their room. The videos weren't perfect, obviously, but they kept going. They learned from their mistakes. They got better at recording videos and editing. Over time, they've been able to upgrade their gear, but most importantly, they have built up an audience on YouTube. And the channel is monetized, it's bringing in income every single month. That was someone who started a YouTube channel even after you originally planned to start yours, and you haven't even started because you're waiting for everything to be perfect. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? You understand what I'm saying? You can't do that. If you want to approach, if you see a cute girl and you want to make an approach, things aren't going to be perfect 100% of the time. Okay? You want her to be sitting in a particular place, by herself. Listen, I understand that. I've been in that situation, but it's not always going to be like that. She might be with friends, and you might just have to be brave enough to go up and approach approach her. If you want to start a business, okay, one last example, you want to start a business, things aren't going to be perfect. Okay, you might be struggling to look after your 2 kids and your significant other, and your partner might be worried what happens if your business doesn't work out. Okay, what if we're all struggling financially a bit? Things aren't going to be perfect, but you must be willing to get started, even in imperfect conditions. Alright, that could be a key differentiator between whether or not you achieve success. So guys, don't wait for everything to be perfect. And that brings us to the end of the 6th reason why most people will never achieve success. Because they're simply hanging around and waiting for the perfect moment, which almost never happens. Alright? So guys, if you made it to this point, I'm hoping that you now know the 6 major reasons why most people will never achieve success. Okay? As a matter of fact, about 99% of people will never become successful. But if you watch this video and you rewatch and you replay, okay, I'm sure you'll be able to take away some of the mistakes which could be preventing you from reaching your full potential and becoming successful. Don't let it happen to you. That's the purpose of this video. Alright? So guys, if you found this useful, do consider subscribing for more. Give this video a like and feel free to share it with anybody else who might find it useful. Thank you very much.